What's going to be the match that we're featuring first for you today? I mean, obviously, they're all incredible out there in the venue. Look, they're all ready to go on stage. Giuseppe Musicco versus James Baek. And yes, trainers, your eyes do not deceive you. That certainly is a Regieleki.
Love to see that kind of adaptation from James Baek. He's a player that's got top 4 at the World Championships, not once, but twice in 2019 and 2022. Coming here again to try and see if he can do it. Both of these trainers are at 7-1 record right now, so they're somewhat riding the bubble, but they've still got a little bit of flexibility on them. They've got one more match to win apiece before they can guarantee their slot in our asymmetrical top cup.
Let's take a deeper dive into their teams. Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, Incineroar, Ogerblon, Hearthflame, Raging Bolt, and Rillaboom. Now, this is a composition that is not too rare at this point. Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, of course, is a restricted duo that a lot of trainers have recognized the potential of, but is this Ogerblon with Grassy Glide, as well as Rillaboom with Grassy Glide, as well as Raging Bolt with Thunderclap, all of these priority moves to get the jump on your opponent, which is a really nice adaptation.
And I think it's like really impressive that Giuseppe's made it with a team that's offering no real surprises. It's just good, solid, consistent, and allows Giuseppe to outplay their opponents really masterfully across all of the matches that they play. You can't say that this team goes into any particular matchup and thinks, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to beat this composition. There's always a way within those familiar 6 Pokemon that Giuseppe is running. So I've seen the success of that where, I think a lot of the field really do try to take this sort of composition and run with it, but it's just so hard when it also has a target on its back at the same time.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, for example, when Xerneas was running rampant in the competitive format, it actually did not go ahead and win the World Championships because there were all sorts of barriers to its success. So it'll be fascinating to see if Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Zamazenta does it this weekend. But here's James with that familiar friendly Piplup, their favorite Pokemon on the desk too. Now, going to be another Calyrex Shadow Rider, but paired with Koraidon, not something we see too often. Incineroar, Volcarona, Regieleki, as we mentioned, and of course Rillaboom. And Incineroar living up to its name, Ben, with that move choice.
The Roar is definitely something to call out there, a real ability to control the board, not only to be able to stop Pokemon that are boosting up, but sometimes you want to reposition, sometimes you need to deal with your Pokemon not being able to necessarily switch. And one of the mechanics that's really important is that Roar does go through Protect. So you can use that to protect a slot and then roar it out at the end of the turn. It gives you a little bit more room to breathe. One of the other things we've got to note about James, not only is there only one Ho-Oh in the field and it made day 2, there's only one Regieleki in the field, and it also has made day 2. It's on stream right now with James Baek piloting it so masterfully.
So I think we need to take a deeper dive into just what this Regieleki is offering and why James has run with it this weekend. It is the fastest thing ever, be that in Pokemon or otherwise. It is by far the fastest Pokemon that we have available.
You know what, Charlie? I think you give it a run for its money.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
That's really flattering, Ben. Wow, yeah. Putting the Bolt in Usain Bolt is Regieleki here, and the Focus Sash, of course, meaning it's, it's not the bulkiest of Pokemon, so it can at least take one attack and stick around on the field. Electro Red, meaning that you can then reduce the speed of the other Pokemon on the field too and get that off, hopefully, before you're struck yourself.
One of the other things that it does really well is it can also outspeed Choice Scarf Pokemon, allowing Calyrex Shadow Rider to be able to get Astral Barrages off where James really needs it too. And I feel like where Regielecki's speed tier is so high, a lot of Pokemon with Choice Scarfs are targeting Pokemon like Calyrex and maybe a little bit further ahead just to catch other Choice Scarf Pokemon off guard. But usually they don't run to that Regielecki speed tier, and I think it's a really clever way to approach the metagame where Choice Scarf Pokemon actually can be quite prevalent in the format.
Now, of course, it was also Tiago Latanzi at LAIC reaching 2nd place, putting Regieleki on the map in the previous season, and there it is with the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Really lovely here, and I think that the priority moves on Giuseppe's side of the field are really going to come into play versus this Regieleki that can hit oh so quickly.
Now we have a classic Calyrex mirror here with both of them running the Life Orb, both of them running the Terra Dark. And so the speed control that Regieleki affords James maybe takes a little bit of pressure off his side of the field where you can make sure that Giuseppe's Calyrex is not going first and therefore not have to play those kind of speed tie interactions that most of our players really find quite difficult to navigate. That said, Giuseppe does have the fake out in play, so can stop that Regieleki turn 1, and that may give Calyrex on Giuseppe's side a chance to nasty plot.
But in fact, it was the fake out into James's Calyrex. Have they made a massive call already on very first turn of day 2?
Oh, which Calyrex is this?
Is it going for Terra Dark? Is it James or is it Giuseppe's? Because this could get Giuseppe on the front hoof. Oh, it's going to be Giuseppe.
No, I think it's both.
The responding Terra. Is that going to be the Calyrex? Is it going to be the Regieleki? Is it going to be the Calyrex?
Yeah, I think it is.
A massive call from Giuseppe, just quietly confident there. That Calyrex is doing no damage. The fake out, meaning that it's not going to out this turn when previously it wouldn't have taken any damage or indeed any flinch from the fake out. And there's no mileage that James can get out of that Regieleki now. It's gone for the protect. Yeah. James recognizes that the call was made by Giuseppe, but now Giuseppe can get some free damage off with the Astral Barrage resisted into James's Calyrex.
So now, no surprise here that these two Calyrex like to go for Terra Dark. There's not too many other Pokemon that you'd really like to do that to, and it just means that this mirror match is just that little bit more consistent. Now, Regieleki does protect, and it does seem like James Baek has taken a little bit of a back foot in this spot, but Regieleki still has the Focus Sash, and it still puts massive pressure onto Calyrex on Giuseppe side. So even though the Astral Barrages are really only tickling each other here with their Terra Darks, the extra damage from the Thunderbolt might actually be the difference maker in this spot, where the helping hand is not necessarily going to get there for Giuseppe, where a Thunderbolt and an Astral Barrage probably would.
Well, will James be taking advantage of that transistor ability from the Regieleki? It will, by going for the Volt Switch, and Incineroar takes that really pretty well, and now switching right to the back. I also love Regieleki because, of course, with so many Miraidon on the field, that would be boosting up his electric moves all the more. But no Miraidon to speak of here. Incineroar joining the fray, providing another fake out, maybe playing Giuseppe at their own game, ready to flinch Giuseppe's Calyrex. Now it's terrestrialized away, and just another incoming Astral Barrage. Both these now Dark-type Pokemon soaking up that damage really pretty well, and the responding Astral Barrage too, so we're just trading pretty simply so far this game.
Yeah, it's like blow for blow here, but it looks like Giuseppe is just like slightly ahead.
Yeah.
But I think the speed onto the Calyrex is the real difference maker here. Parting Shot coming into the Calyrex, so lowering the special attack of it for a little bit later, but it looks like, and we haven't got this confirmed by any stretch of the imagination, that Giuseppe's Calyrex is maybe trained to be slightly faster than James's, so that advantage is sort of more squarely in Giuseppe's favor where these two Calyrexes match up.
Special attack being boosted of Giuseppe's Raging Bolt here. I mean, now you've had your special attack dropped over on James's Calyrex, the Raging Bolt will be soaking up that damage so much better, and Calyrex needs to be in a position where it can start to snowball.
I think this Raging Bolt coming in as well for Giuseppe is a really nice time to get it in. You've got the Thunderclap pressure onto the opposing Calyrex, and even if, as you see there, the fake out goes into the Calyrex on this turn, there is still the potential of Thunderclap, but James reads right into that and doesn't go for a protected defensive player switch, instead getting that Astral Barrage onto the Raging Bolt and the Calyrex.
Ooh, and the Incineroar brought down so low, you can see the dividends. That booster energy paid to the Raging Bolt special attack here. If there is a trainer who can come back from that early deficit with the flinched Calyrex, it would be James. No stranger at all to be able to turn the tables, just knowing the decisions they need to make when the chips are down.
But you know, I've played Giuseppe plenty of times in the local UK events, and I've got to tell you that Giuseppe is no stranger to having these sort of comebacks as well, playing these more slow, more grindy games where you have to trade a little bit, you have to switch around a little bit, you have to get your position before going in for the final blow.
Well, Calyrex not going to be taking any damage here, neither is Raging Bolt, so just scouting out for what James might have been going in for. Of course, the fake out we saw on the previous turn, so no flinch protection in this situation. Just another Astral Barrage, maybe Giuseppe trying to bait out a switch here that James could have gone for.
I like that play as well, because you never know whether the Calyrex is going for for a defensive play. You know that the Incineroar is probably doing exactly what it did now and trying to go for a parting shot. You almost never see a side parting shot, where maybe you sometimes see a side U-turn where the damage is a little bit less influential than getting an attack and special attack drop on your partner Pokemon. And I think that, like, looking at this board state now, I'm just looking at the HP left on the Calyrex. It's only got one more attack in it before it goes down. I think that attack is going to be needed to try to knock out the Raging Bolt, but the Raging Bolt responds with a Thunderclap.
Goodbye and zaps. That is James's Calyrex Shadow Rider, or should we say Dark Rider, down and out for the count. That is the first restricted Pokemon lost, and indeed the first Pokemon lost in this game. Now Calyrex on Giuseppe's side can get off another Astral Barrage and Incineroar oh so low, so the count that normally resists this is 9 lives are up. That's going to be the double KO here for Giuseppe, and a boost to the special attack on Calyrex.
I'm wondering now, though, with the special attack boost on the Calyrex, actually probably not going to make too much difference in this game state, because the Regieleki that we know is in the back is easily capable of outspeeding and knocking out the Calyrex on Giuseppe's side. But this Volcarona, I think, is really interesting here coming in, because while it can go for a Quiver Dance, its Fiery Dance and Giga Drain as its special attacking options are not going to be able to knock out that Raging Bolt particularly quickly. Equally, nor is Raging Bolt going to be able to knock out Volcarona particularly quickly because of the special attack, special defense, and speed boosts that it gets. So this is a really tight mid-game here. I think it comes down to whether or not James can get the boosts that he needs before the Volcarona gets put too low.
If Giuseppe does have
what a call!
The Astral Barrage, the Regieleki protected, Volcarona going to be soaking up some damage here, but just how much? Is it going to... Oh, it's down to just 1 HP! And the leftovers means it will recover a little bit more, but thanks to that Life Orb chip damage, the Calyrex is down. I was going to say, Ben, that if it is the Zamazenta lurking in the back of Giuseppe, at least the Volcarona matches up pretty well into it, but it's on such low health that, yeah, goodbye now.
Wow. That's such a call for Giuseppe to make, and I think it's the right call to make, because you know that your Calyrex is under pressure. But if James gives you even an inch, you get to take a mile in this spot, and you really do need to, when you're sort of up against the wall against one of those Pokemon that can really start to boost up and put pressure, you've really got to strike hard and strike first before it can get those boosts up.
Yeah, and it's normally Regieleki that's striking hard and striking first, but here it's Giuseppe who swept to the floor against James Baek. But we do have another game. James would have to win this one to then take us to a game 3, but if Giuseppe wins this next one, then they are claiming the set here, and James will go down to a 7-2 record, and every win really counts here. Try and secure your spot in the top cut.
See, I think looking back at the replays here, I think it's very clear that Giuseppe was comfortable to take some risks in the early game, certainly with the Calyrex speed interactions between the two of them. I think Giuseppe felt probably a bit more comfortable than usual to take those risks, knowing that if it didn't go quite the way that he wanted to, he had something in the back that was able to really come to the fore. So I really like the way that Giuseppe played it, but thinking about James's position going into game 2, it's hard to say at this level of competition. I'm not sitting there at the desk, right? But it does feel like James does need to press the advantage a little bit more, play that little bit more aggressively, not give Giuseppe the same space that he had to just attack in game 1, and maybe a little bit of an adjustment to play there, maybe even bringing the Volcarona slightly earlier in the game to get those boosts up could be an option for him to play for this game 2.
No Regieleki in the lead this time for James. It's going to be Calyrex and Incineroar staring each other down from across the field.
And yeah, again, we're in this position where you've got 2 Ghost-type Pokemon in the Calyrex that definitely want to Terra Dark, and if they don't Terra Dark, then they take a big Astral Barrage, but if they do, then they get faked out for the privilege. So it's one of those more telegraphed situations. But equally, I still think it's one of those more objective plays where it doesn't make sense or too much sense to go for anything else but the Terra Dark, just to make sure that your Calyrex is always getting through the turn. Now, even these Incineroars could opt for the fake out and we get a little bit more of a dead turn. Maybe if the Incineroars decide to fake out into each other instead of into the Calyrexes, then we could see a little bit of suppression there. But there's also the option for either of these players to just click the passing shot button and start to whittle down the power of their opposing restricted Pokemon, rather than to just go for the fake out and suppress them this turn.
Both of these trainers very happy to run that volatile early board state of the double Calyrex Shadow Rider. Now we've gone for a helping paw here with Incineroar. Fake out, this time onto Giuseppe's Calyrex. Oh my goodness me, it looks like Giuseppe is just inside James's head here. Yeah, it's going to be resisted, but look at that. The Incineroar and Calyrex brought down to about 50% HP.
What's coming?
Now a nasty plot coming out from James's side of the field. Okay, so you've now boosted your special attack stat as long as that Calyrex can move, but is Giuseppe going to give it that room?
I certainly think this is one of those difficult situations now for Giuseppe where, yes, you've got the early damage, but the helping hand Astral Barrage into a Terra Dark Calyrex wasn't enough for the guaranteed 2-hit knockout. And with that Regieleki in the back, I think there's a real risk for Giuseppe that James can find a way to position the Incineroar, position the Calyrex next to the Regieleki, get the speed control on the board, but then follow up with these 2+ Life Orb Astral Barrages.
We are really stepping on the gas here, trainers. Now time for the responding Terra Dark over on the other Calyrex Shadow Rider here. Another helping hand could very much be online. There it is into Giuseppe's Calyrex. Now Giuseppe hoping for a higher damage roll here so that James's Calyrex can go down and out, but no, just going to be the protect. The Incineroar, though, took it slightly worse, I believe, than the Calyrex, in fact. And so, yeah, that could well be that pivotal piece down for James. But maybe James doesn't mind that here, so that you can get that free switch into the Regieleki, like you said. Oh, but it hangs on. The Incineroar hangs on, which may be one of those rare times when you do want a Pokemon to be KO'd, but James has covered for it anyway. The parting shot, reducing Incineroar's attack over on Giuseppe's side.
Incineroar's going out one way or the other, right? He's either getting knocked out, but then you put the Calyrex in a position where you can go for those Electro Webs with Regieleki and then follow it up with the Astral Barrage. Or your Incineroar goes down, they get a boost in it. Well, it doesn't really matter because you're going to be aiming to take the knockout on the Calyrex regardless.
Now it's Regieleki coming in, of course, you're threatening that big Electro Web, reducing the speed over on Giuseppe's side of the field, but with the +2 on the Calyrex Shadow Rider into 2 Dark-type Pokemon, you're probably not claiming a KO there. And so then the Regieleki is so vulnerable, it has the Focus Sash, but James potentially not getting the mileage that they want.
So I think this is a little bit of a call as well, where you can go for a Thunderbolt and a Astral Barrage. That's probably enough to knock out the Incineroar, which would work if Giuseppe, like they have, gone for the Protect. But if they didn't go for the Protect, it's a really difficult call to make, but James making it here. Thunderbolt into the Incineroar, the Astral Barrage follow-up.
And now how well is this Incineroar going to be taking this at +2? Incineroars can be trained in oh so many different ways. Let's see how Giuseppe's lent into this one. The Incineroar hanging on with 18 HP.
That's some really, really good bulk. I think Giuseppe is going to be very happy with the way that he's trained his Incineroar coming in here as he gets the parting shot out, and that might be the difference maker here between even knocking out the Calyrex Shadow Rider next turn or not.
Now Raging Bolt and Ogerpon once more lurking in the back, so Giuseppe deciding that no, Zamazenta is not the bring in this situation. Raging Bolt is a nice counter to this Regieleki on James' side of the field that only has electric-type moves.
Yeah, it's like, I'm also wondering whether or not Calyrex on James's side is in Thunderclap range here. I'd be inclined to say no.
So would I.
Looking at the amount of damage that James's Calyrex has already taken from Astral Barrages already, but sometimes where there's a Thunderclap, there's a way.
Well, there's going to be no Thunderclap into the Calyrex, at least on James's side here. Thunderclap potentially aiming into that target. We'll have to see what the Regieleki was going for. Yeah, the Volt Switch was into the Calyrex as on Giuseppe's side of the field, brought down to about 1/3 of its HP, just whittling away here. Is it going to be the case that whichever trainer removes the opponent's Calyrex first will then continue to sweep the game as Incineroar rejoins the field, providing that threat of the fake out?
And if the Astral Barrage isn't the target here, yeah, the Incineroar would be able to get a fake out next turn. But as it stands, Giuseppe, I don't think has any real reason not to just go straight for the Astral Barrage in this spot where they're really threatening the Thunderclap. And if the Regieleki didn't go for the Electro Web, you still get the ability to knock out the Calyrex if indeed, as we suspect, Giuseppe's Calyrex looks to be faster than James's.
Right, Regieleki now rejoining the field here, bouncing away happily, crucially with that Focus Sash still intact. Electro Web once more would mean that Calyrex on James' side might be able to sweep here, but of course you can just keep pivoting around with the Volt Switch as long as you're happy to switch in something from the back.
Yeah, I think this is like really tight as well as you're like maybe it's just a life orb damage tick between this Calyrex going down to a Thunderclap, or not, as the case may be. Now Ogerpon switches in, though. I think Giuseppe being quite wise to protect that slot. And here it is, it's enough!
The Calyrex Shadow Rider on James' side is down. James hoping that roll will go more in their favor, but no, that's going to be the 2 KOs. That's going to be James brought down to their final 2 Pokemon. This Regieleki that can't do much into the Raging Bolt, and in fact into the Ogerpon too, resisting with that grass type part typing that it has, as Volcarona is now rejoining as well. So James also has benched one of their restricteds in the Koraidon.
Yeah, I think it's probably wise in this situation as well, but unfortunately Volcarona staring down one of the Pokemon that it really doesn't like to see in that Ogerpon. A Thunderbolt going into that slot and maybe trying to pick up the paralysis there as Ivy Cudgel. I think this is one of Volcarona's worst nightmares. Targets down into it. The Thunderbolt goes in next, so this is a really slow Volcarona by the looks of things. It just goes straight down. James doesn't get any value out of it whatsoever. Now that Regieleki is sitting in a position with, as we've been saying, electric-type moves versus Pokemon that it cannot beat. Giuseppe Musicco is going to secure their Day 2 top cut spot.
Well, it was so cool to see that Regieleki there, and of course James Baek. You know, at 2 losses now, we'll have to see how the rest of the competition shapes up for them. But Giuseppe from the EU triumphing this time over NA. They have such both incredible trainers, and of course, Giuseppe has so many good top cut results, really impressive standing that they have in the community. And James Baek, someone who maybe has more consistent, higher level results, but maybe a changing of the guard here.
It could be. I mean, there's always that opportunity, especially when we see so many of our players that we had to watch this weekend just struggling to make it through day 1 into day 2, because the competition is so fierce, because we are really taking the cream of the crop across the season. Those players that have got such deep runs in our regional and international level events, but also those players that have been so consistent across the many levels of competition, both in person but also in the online events as well.
This is Giuseppe's first ever top cut at the World Championships, and also this year it's his first ever day 2. So incredible achievement. Huge congratulations to you, Giuseppe. We look forward to seeing how you will be performing in that top cut. And as for James Baek, let us see what happens. And Giuseppe's been playing high-level competitive Pokemon since 2018. So yeah, just goes to show you put those hours in, you put that time in, you put the years in, and you could find yourself in the top cut in contention to be our Pokemon World Champion 2025.
There's a good call out here as we have a little bit of a look back at that game 2. I think how cool and collected Giuseppe was in that match. You can see him swinging around in his chairs, really having a good time, enjoying the stage, but at the same time playing a confident game, knowing and trusting in the training of their Pokemon, especially where that Raging Bolt knocked out the Calyrex Shadow Rider on James's side. I really thought that could have been up in the air, could have gone either way, but it looks like Giuseppe's made quite a lot of their own decisions when building this team that is full of usual suspects, but that doesn't mean that we know everything about how the team is put together.
Yeah, you can see just how thrilled Giuseppe was there as well. I mean, it seemed like Giuseppe was giving us a bit of a clinic in that game.
Yeah.
It felt like James didn't really have a foot in the door, so to speak. And I'm wondering if, you know, going all in on the, well, I'm going to lead Calyrex because you're leading Calyrex, actually didn't work out all that well for James. Maybe a more consistent lead would have been better.
It certainly could be. It's quite a difficult mirror to be playing, especially when you don't know whether your Calyrex is faster or slower. And I think a lot of the problems that James had in that game probably could have got solved by a few different speed points there. But yeah, that's all in the past now. James has got to lock in for the last round. He's certainly not out of contention, but someone that is very much in contention is Giuseppe, and we've got him on stage ready for an interview.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Giuseppe, who just first day 2 at Worlds, first top cut at Worlds. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
How does it feel to have made it so far in the competition?
No, I'm very excited because, I mean, it's been my 6th Worlds. First time making it 2, but first time making top cut. So, I mean, I couldn't dream more, you know, like, it's a dream coming true.
Do you think you did anything different this time around to prepare for this Worlds that has given you this success?
No, it's been more about this season here because I've been very consistent. Like, made 8 tournaments along the season, 8 day 2s, And I learned how to be more focused during tournaments, how to prepare better. Of course, with my friends, but yeah, what changes be like mentality in me, like along the last season, yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me about day one of the competition. You entered today at 7 wins and 1 loss. How did those games go for you?
So yesterday started tough because I started 0-1 against like a matchup that should have been good for me, and was very tilted about, got angry about after the first lot, but then I started winning and winning more. Of course, I had to be lucky, making a lot of reads, because this team needs me to do that. So that's the thing, and then end up winning like 7 best of 3s in a row. So it's good.
That is pretty good. Did you prepare at all last night for today of the competition?
No, because I knew that the teams were gonna be out today or last night, so I started to prepare like as soon as I saw the first matchup rather than yesterday, yeah.
Fair enough. So you just mentioned that your team relies a lot on reads. Tell me about game 1 against James Baek. Did you feel like there was a turn where you just made that read that really opened up the possibility for you to win?
I think both games needed me to make like bold reads, because the matchup was like that. I mean, it was Coraidon, Calido, and Volcarona. All of them are together are the dangers for my team. So I didn't know what to do. Like, I thought of a plan, and my plan was, okay, I bring like Incineroar, Calido, Garpon, and Raging Bolt, and making bold reads. That's what I did. Like, for example, game 2, I didn't Terra Calido against like Calido and Incineroar, who could like one-shot it. And my whole plan was like helping Extra Barrage to put Calido as soon as possible in range of Bolt. And I knew that this whole team was weak to Bolt after Calido was down, so that was my plan. It actually worked, but still had to predict, let's say.
Yeah, it was a very good plan, and the fact that your Raging Bolt really was a staple of the team was really exciting. Has it been the staple of your team for the rest of the competition, or is there a different Pokemon you'd call your like most valuable Pokemon, if you will?
Yeah, actually Raging Bolt, I brought it just this best of 3, maybe other 2 around the tournament. It was, I think it was the, I mean, not the weakest mon team, but the one you brought in the last matchup. And I mean, all mons have been valuable, but to say as a non-restricted Pokemon, Ogerpon has been really good, because it can be like the third Uber of this team. Like when Terras does a lot of damage, it helps cover Volcarona and the like monsters that are dangerous for my team, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Giuseppe. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody at home?
Yeah, shout out to my friend Push, shout out to the server, my group of friends, and to the guys who helped me prepare for the tournament. Marco, Steka, Ruben, and Genus as well. Shout out to my family who's watching me right now, so yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and best of luck in the final round of Swiss and in Top Cut. If you're going to want to watch that at home, you'll have to stay tuned, because we'll be taking a short break, but we'll be back with more of the competition right after that.